My whole world was just turned upside down. To come into a home where people were asking, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on? As I watched Love in Action over the first few months, I began to think, maybe this is real. Maybe there really is hope in this world, and maybe there really is something better than what I've been going through. I was the middle of 3 kids from my mom and dad. They ended up getting divorced whenever I was 3, but eventually we started having visitation with my mom, and after a little while she wanted us to come move in with her, so we started living with my mom. That's whenever I first met my stepdad, and he was at first verbally and then physically and sexually abusive towards me. He was tall and large, and so it would get really scary whenever his voice would be raised and he would start yelling. He would go into rage episodes. We would just spend hours standing there in front of him, taking whatever he was saying and having to look at him. He would call me names. I was worthless, that I wasn't good for anything, that I was lazy. And then he would throw things, whatever was around, broken glasses, through plates, whatever was around he would throw either at the wall or at us. And there were teachers and friends and even doctors that were concerned about me, but no one was able to put all of the pieces together. And so I spent most of the time feeling trapped, like I had this thing going on in my life that no one could ever know about, and it was terrifying. And so by the time I was in 5th grade, I really started looking into different ways that I could cope. So I started cutting, and I started just doing self-harm to my body in any way that I could figure out. Once I got into middle school, that's whenever I started looking at different things, drugs, medications, alcohol. So once we got into high school and the party scene, it was just really socially acceptable. And so it became something where I wasn't just drinking on the weekends, I was drinking during the week too. And by the time I was 16, I was drinking every day almost. And after a few years, alcohol was just the most important thing to me. I started losing friends, my family was concerned. I was using people just to get what I wanted. And it got to the point where I was just barely functioning. I didn't want to live. I was suicidal. There were a few times I intentionally tried to overdose, and then I would wake up the next day or a few days later. The last night I really tried to take my life was Thanksgiving of 2010. I had drinking a whole lot. I had cut myself up pretty bad, and I was thinking, I just want to bleed to death. And I ended up passing out, and I woke up the next day. And I was so mad because I was done. I didn't want to live anymore. I was done with my life looking the way it was looking. And all of a sudden I had this realization of, God's not letting me die. And I remember just at that moment saying to God, God, okay, if you won't let me die, then you have to show me how to live, because I can't do this anymore. I knew it wasn't working anymore. Nothing was working anymore. And that was really the first time that I was serious about getting help, and I was serious about knowing I had to make some real changes in order to live. It wasn't just to make my life presentable, it was in order to live. I started checking around to different rehab centers all over Texas, calling so many different places, seeing if I could get in, and just ran into a lot of closed doors. A lot of places weren't accepting people like me who didn't have health insurance. I didn't have a whole lot of money to pay for rehab, and I was stuck and I didn't know what to do. And I just took the risk and went to my boss and told her what was going on, and just let her know, I'm in real trouble here. My boss gave me Missy's number and said, I think this place is going to help you. I think this is going to be good for you. Why don't you give them a call? And so I called her, and I mean, to my amazement, they had openings. They said, you know, we're opening our doors to you if you're willing to come in once you're finished with detox. Came into Grace House on December 14th of 2010, and slowly things just started coming into a line. I started to care about myself again, and then I started to care about other people again. And then I started to really want this life. And it was during that journey that I just started to bare my heart out on the table and open up and say, you know, this is me. These are things that have happened to me. These are things that I've done, and confessed and repented and forgave others. And I was able to just walk in freedom and to pick myself up and every day just grow a little bit more confident and grow a little bit more secure in who I am, and not needing so much of, you know, I need this thing to tell me who I am, or I need this thing to tell me who I am, or I need this thing to make me feel better, because I can find that in Jesus. I just never would have imagined that that could happen. You know, that was for someone else. That was for people who were worthy. But I'm worthy. And he came for people like me who were sad and who were lonely and who were broken. This journey of recovery is not ending. Like, I'm gonna be in recovery for the rest of my life, but I'm gonna keep moving forward with him, because he's the one who doesn't leave. And I can trust that as long as I let him stay by my side, I'm gonna be okay.
There are so many women in the Waco area today who are desperate to find freedom from the bondages of addiction. And like Mary, they just need a safe place to come and heal. From the moment women walk into the door of Grace House, we want them to know that they're part of the family. It's so important for each woman to know that her needs matter, and that everything that she was carrying when she came in, she can leave behind. By living life together, women have the opportunity to build healthy relationships. Whether it's through gardening in the backyard or spending times encouraging one another, women learn the importance of having a supportive community. The majority of women who come to us would never actually be able to afford the level of care that they need. For this reason, we provide our services free of charge. Grace House is able to serve women because of generous donors like you. Your financial support plays a vital role in the restoration of their lives. Please consider partnering with us financially as we continue to provide a place of healing and hope for many years to come.